it's a really large area of research. So metacognitive learning, it's talking about one's awareness of the learning processes or the self. The awareness of self, the awareness of your knowledge, of your cognition, of your behavior, performance. So the importance of it is there's lots of different things. There's engagement, there's motivation, there's confidence. But the idea is this, you being aware of how you're performing, you being able to take control of your learning process. Not only just go through the classroom, walk in with a book and actually study, but be able to identify particular strategies that work best for you to learn efficiently, effectively, and faster, and in a way to retain knowledge better, recall it better, and be able to transfer it to other domains. So you're studying one context, a specific concept in one context, you don't have to just keep it there. You can transfer it to other domains. You can transfer it to your work in the future. So the idea is being able to control your own learning, being able to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's a very, very good question. I actually did that study 2 years ago, 2017, I believe. So I was looking into the confidence, particularly confidence. So the idea is that women tend to be less confident than men, and that is detrimental for their learning. So the lower your confidence, the worse you perform, according to some of the studies. But the studies were smaller scale, and I wanted to replicate it in a larger data set. So I looked into whether there was asymmetry in this confidence, in their metacognition. And if there is asymmetry, meaning they're sometimes lower confident or higher confident, whether one of the other affects negatively the learning, because that's my interest. So my findings showed that I studied 130,000 students for 8 different courses, and my studies showed that lower your confidence, it is actually negatively correlated to your learning. However, it wasn't a large correlation, so that data requires a little more, probably a couple more replication studies. However, if higher your confidence, then higher your scores. So having more confidence in yourself, in the belief of your abilities, is actually positive for your outcome. So it leads, or it's correlated. It's not necessarily a causal relationship because we didn't look into the causal relationship, but it's correlated with higher success. Yeah, that's also a very good question. So there are lots of different metrics and measures. For example, there's the idea of growth mindset. That is measured with a survey. So it's a survey administered to the students, and there should be an explanation of what it means, how it affects them, and there should be a survey. There's quite a wide variety of ways implemented in schools, and my latest study is looking into how it's implemented in universities, because there are some pop culture, like pop science ideas in research that are very interesting when it's done in laboratories, but when it conveys back to universities, it doesn't quite hold up. And the reason could be because it's the implementation. Every university does it differently. Some of them just provide the survey with no context, so you can't really accurately and reliably check whether it is a true metric, a true measurement of their growth mindset. Or there's another one called grit, which is about perseverance of the student. That also has a survey on its own. So it really depends what measurement you go with, what metric you're using. But I think it's really, really important to look into the researchers' suggestion for implementation, and they vary. For my case, confidence, I measure it after every single question they answer. So if they're doing some homework assignment or some sort of a practice, I don't wait until the end of it because it's self-report. So you have to keep the time as close to the actual task as possible, so there's no recall bias. So after every single question they answer, our platform asks them for their confidence for that particular question. So we have been able to reliably collect our data, but it's not always feasible to do it after every question. Sometimes, depending on the platform, depending what the student experience is, that could get frustrating for them, and that could affect their true evaluation. Absolutely. So it is developed. It should be developed. We should convey this to students that you are not born with one way. And that's the idea also with growth mindset as well. You're not born with a particular set of abilities that don't grow or don't diminish. You need to always hone it. It's the idea of lifelong learning. You have to continuously hone your skills. You have to pay attention to them, put effort into them, put some practice and effort into that continuously to maintain it. But in terms of the self-regulation or being able to control yourself, it's something that I think that the teachers should help the students learn. Aside from the content that you're teaching from the book, you need to also teach them how to study better. These learning strategies that should be taught as part of the school, I believe that helps them later on in life to organize their lives, to organize their work life in the future, to organize how they're studying and what they're studying. Yeah, I haven't looked into particular research of at what age you should start telling the children or the kids that they should pay attention to what they're doing and why they're doing a certain way. But I think as early as you start discussing with your kid, you should tell them that, you know, abilities are learned. You should not tell them, good job, you're so smart. You should actually encourage their time that they put in, the effort that they put in, working hard and spending more time on something and practicing. So I think as early as you want to talk to your kids. So my study also showed that students are actually really good at predicting or correctly estimating their confidence, correctly estimating their understanding of the content. They are pretty close to, they're pretty realistic about it. However, sometimes because of the environment, when they see that they are being watched, this perception of wanting to perform better, they put in more a show in a sense, and in their head they imagine that they did it better than they actually did. So it happens really, but most of the time they're pretty good at, my study at least showed that they are pretty good at estimating their own confidence. I already covered that, but it's the idea of this combination of control of your own performance. It includes your own engagement, it includes your own motivation. You watching how you're performing, you're watching for your own behavior. I have, one of my studies I have looked into, in my doctoral studies, into emotions while you're learning, and I do believe that is very, very important and it could affect their learning. So what I was looking at into is, for example, when they're frustrated. So you give them a task and it's very frustrating. Sometimes that happens with math. If the content is not really a simple example, something that they really relate to, it could get really complex and it could get frustrating for them. So there's, after that, that could be that they put more effort, they really persevere and they finish it, complete it correctly. But it also could be that they get bored, that they don't understand, they get really frustrated with it and they disengage. So emotions is really, really important. We need to step aside from just looking into cognitive performance and also pay attention to the students' metacognitive and personal characteristics, and emotions is one of them.